Welcome to Following On as we look back at an extraordinary Test match at Lord's, which England have won by 22 runs, the closest ever at the home of cricket, and one of the hardest fought and closest results in the history of Test cricket. With a target of just 193, India resumed the day at 58 for 4, but by lunch had slumped to 112 for 8, still needing 81 runs for victory. But when the Test match seemed dead, it had a heartbeat in the form of Ravindra Jadeja and an incredible effort from last men Jasprit Bumrah, who faced 54 balls for his 5 runs, and Mohammad Siraj. But it was Siraj who suffered the heartbreak of playing on to Shoaib Bashir, who only bowled 5.5 overs and took 1 for 6. It was the final wicket of the Test match. Siraj did all he could, he defended it, but the ball spun back from the footholds and just trickled onto his stumps, removing a bail, and that was the end of the Test match. Deep into the final session on day 5, England have a 2-1 advantage going into the 4th Test match at Old Trafford, but this will take some days to recover from, and India will have to regroup in a way that their players perhaps have never had to do before. And well, for England, they'll need that week's break because they've worked incredibly hard. After 3 days, these teams were inseparable with totals of 387. India thought that they'd grabbed the advantage by bowling England out for 192 second time around. And at 41 for 1, at the end of day 4, they were well placed to chase the total down. Just when England needed a wicket every single time, Ben Stokes or Bryden Carse or Jofra Archer came up with the goods and delivered that wicket just to drag them back into the game. Ben Stokes has produced an incredible captain's performance through sheer workload, never mind the wickets that he took, bowling 10 overs in the morning session, another 10 on the trot in the afternoon session, and eventually England prevailed by 22 runs. And whereas you would have thought there would be cheers and celebration and wild pandemonium, there was just more exhaustion. A couple of the England players fell to the ground. Mohammad Siraj was consoled in a way that Brett Lee was at the end of the 2005 Ashes by Joe Root and several of the other England players. Steve Harmison and Jeremy Coney alongside me. We'll be looking back at this Test match for many years to come. It was a day that was sold out. It was a people's day. Tickets were just £25, and if there were any newcomers to Test cricket, I suspect that they will be considering coming back.
Absolutely, it was brilliant. It was breathtaking. It was. Let's be honest, it was boring at times, but I tell you what, it soon livened up, and it was. I mean, Ben Stokes, he likened the pitch at Edgbaston as a subcontinent pitch. It was actually a subcontinent feel to this game where runs were scored, passages of slow play, and then as the pitch deteriorated, not because of spin, but it just went into fast forward. I think a lot of tired minds. I think there was some tired minds. I think there was some, selective, decision making, and I think the way the game ended, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And, there was a time where the game was going nowhere, but the skill and the determination of somebody like Ravindra Jadeja to put India in a position to potentially win that cricket match, I think that's an art and a skill in itself. So, yeah, I think England deserved to win the game. I think it was a hardly evenly fought contest, I says, but when I came here this morning, I thought England would win the game. I thought England would believe they could win the game, and I didn't find that belief from India, and I think there was a few of India players didn't as well. So from that point of view, I think England, that's why I think England deserve to have that little bit of luck to get over the line.
Well, I must say, Sidharth Monga is joining us. Jeremy Coney will come back for the second half of the analysis, but Sid's got a couple of very lengthy pieces of analysis to write, I'm sure, for ESPNCricinfo, but we're really grateful for your time and your insight, Sidharth Monga. The game seemed dead at lunchtime at 112 for 8. At least it had gone into hibernation. But while Ravindra Jadeja was at the crease, there was a heartbeat, and India never ever gave up, and he certainly never gave up. And I mean, I don't know how you're feeling, but we're all a bit emotionally spent, rather like the players.
Yeah, I can understand how exhausting it has been. not just for the players, but for those who've been calling it. And I've just been doing one stint, you've been doing more. And I don't know if it has been discussed before, but this last dismissal was exactly how Javagal Srinath got out in the 99 Chennai test where India lost narrowly to Pakistan. Again, very similar circumstances. Tendulkar batting with the lower order got India very close. And I think it was 17 runs or something. Saqlain Mushtaq bowled a top spinner. Srinath defended it with soft hands, bounced in the crease, and top spun into the stumps. It's exactly the same way that it has happened. It's just the hope that kills you, doesn't it? It was everybody would have been happy, not happy, but would have been okay if India had lost by 100 runs and we would all have finished our work and be in the pubs by now. But
yeah, I know what you mean. There's people got trains to catch who wouldn't even dream of being here at this point of the day, Sid. But you look back at the game, and I've said, and I've been in that situation a couple of times, and obviously there was a famous one. And sometimes the closer you get, the harder it is to get over the line. Will India rue anything to go, we could have done this, we could have done that? Is there anything, because you can always feel as though you could do something, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. Was there anything that you thought India could possibly have done to change the outcome for an India victory?
Oh, absolutely. The third afternoon was the biggest turning point and the biggest mistake they made in this test match. After the first test, as we've been repeating, but it's worth repeating, in the first test they let England back in by playing some casual strokes. They went back, they said, we are not going to get out to any casual strokes now. We'll make them earn our wickets, which they did with the bat. But just nearing that milestone, just around lunch on day 3, trying to get KL Rahul over the line before going into lunch, Rishabh Pant takes a risky single. That results in a run out and India just lose the plot from there. It could have been 50, 100 run lead for India in the first innings, but it ended up being a first innings draw. And that is something that India will look back at. And you know how England's bowling, they've got the better of England's bowling for long periods during this whole series, but they have somehow found, let them come back in through non-traditional ways, not through slip catches or bowled or LBW or bouncers, through a cut to edging a short and wide ball or getting caught at deep mid-wicket or this run out. So this is something that will hurt them. They managed to come back from the first one. Now there's no way back. Now it's 2-1. They cannot afford to make any more mistakes.
Just hard to put your finger on. India have scored more top order runs and taken way more new ball wickets. Those are the two key ingredients. It should be India 2-1 up.
It's just the lack of experience, and also luck has been really harsh on them. They have, you learn lessons the hard way, but it has been so cruel on them. Every single mistake they've been made to pay for very dearly.
I come back to the fact that you look at Headingley, 4th innings, and not defending 350, and I thought there was a lack of belief there. And even this morning, you come into this, and everybody's saying India should win from here. Is there a lack of belief or a lack of experience of winning mentality, winning positions? There's 4 or 5 of these guys who played in the game here 4 years ago to get them over the line, in Bumrah and Siraj and Jadeja. They were still left to bat. So is there a belief? Like Manna said, the skill factor is not a problem. Is there a belief in this squad that they can identify passages of play where they go, right, we win the game if we nail this bit? And you mentioned before 2 or 3 little incidences where they let it slip, and is it as simple as these guys are struggling and devoid of ideas when they get into that winning moment?
That's the lack of experience is the big thing, and these are the kind of tests that can make or break the team for the next 4 or 5 years. If they win this match, as you speak of belief, they get it right. The next time they're in a similar situation, they know they can get across the line. And I don't know what kind of psychological damage this causes to their psyche. I mean, if they sit down calmly and think, hey, we can actually get back into these positions again. We have done that in every test match. We have got ourselves into a winning position in every test match. There's no reason we should not be able to do it come Manchester. But it's easier said than done. That belief is something that they will have to now find in themselves.
Finally, Sid, before we let you go, I know you've got a lot of work to do, and by the way, thank you for joining the team. You've been an invaluable asset, but very, very seldom in a player's test career will they be involved in a game like this. This is an epic test match. And I think back to the 2005 Ashes, you know, I mean, there were 3 or 4 like this, and Australia lost them, but it's different. It's different to being rolled over. It's different to being thrashed. I mean, the Indian team, I mean, both teams really know that they've produced an absolute hard-fought classic.
Yeah, they've left everything out there. The ground staff are dusting the pitch as we speak. There must be some pieces of heart right on the pitch. Both the sides have left everything out there on the field. Stokes today, 8 over and 10 over spells or something like that.
I think it was 10 and 10.
Yeah, rarely ever bowls short spells. Jadeja, epic innings. It takes a lot of mental discipline to not think of future, to be able to take just one run at a time, and to show the trust in your partner. Jadeja did that. Bumrah, epic effort with the ball. Bowled a spell where he looked like taking a wicket every ball, but came back to bowl another great spell to finish off the tail. Everybody has played their role. I guess maybe they should look at it philosophically and just think of themselves as part of something great, and not just as victors or losers.
And talk about the spirit between the two teams. They were like 2 heavyweight boxers falling into each other's arms at the end.
Yes, it was absolutely lovely. They did, while the game was on, no team gave an inch. On third evening, when everybody was decrying the behavior, we were like, hey, these are 2 competitive teams. Until that final bell rang, and as you so beautifully said, after that they were just exhausted, and England were the first ones to come and console Siraj.
Sidharth Monga, we'll go for a cold beer on the Thames before we see you in Manchester. Thank you so much for your time.
Look forward to it, man.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers, Steve.
You're listening to Following On as we look back at a truly, truly epic test match at Lord's, which England have won by just 22 runs. And we'll have more thoughts as we look ahead to Old Trafford for you in just a moment, as we're joined by Jeremy Coney. Continuing our look back at this truly unforgettable test match. I remember thinking after the 2005 Ashes, we'll never see anything like that again. And I was thinking in single test match terms rather than a series. But this really has been quite reminiscent. I think possibly the Ashes cricket in the first 3 days was possibly more exciting than we had here in the first 3 days, which was very attritional, but also hard fought, and you know, there was again, as Sidharth Monga had said, you know, nothing left out there. Maybe the skill of the bowlers in 2005 was perhaps higher than we shouldn't compare, should we, Harmy? Let's just look at the result and look at how these two teams have competed. Jeremy Coney is alongside us now for more thoughts. Jerry, sometimes we make too much of spirit and character and personality. I mean, very often it comes down more to wrist position and how you play the ball out of the rough. But you couldn't help feeling, as the day went on, that it was about character and personality and digging deep.
Yeah, I think the technical stuff about wrists and heads and feet and those things are pretty dull, actually. It's the human element and the driving yourself on to bowl those extra overs, to stop that boundary. You know, cricket often is about little margins, you know, diving to save a 4 and you just get there, or getting your hand to a catch and just holding up, as say Root did, for example, at first slip. Those sorts of little things, in the end, they can be the difference, I think, in a match over this length of time. Being able to withstand the heat for hours on end and still come in the 10th over and the 20th over and so on, and there's no bounce at all, you know, and the keeper's having to come up and because it's going to bounce twice, and though it's all that stuff that are the human elements in the game. and being able as a tail ender to outlast some of the deliveries that you don't feel particularly comfortable with, and then Jadeja having to go through that length, getting literally one run at a time. So those are elements, I think, manners that you remember certainly as you sit down in your undies, after the game in the changing room, that as you look in a shared glance across at your teammates, those are the things you remember.
Yeah, I think the point is brilliantly made in a way that, we've all got skill level. We can all bat and bowl, and we can all, we've all got, vulnerabilities and frailties. But if you've got that characteristic of knowing how to get over the line, or just making sure that your team has what it takes to finish the job off, and it is such a brilliant attribute to have, to find a way to win. And England had to find a way to win here a little bit differently. But Jeremy, in that situation, you've seen a lot of cricket, you've played in a lot of cricket. It's easier for England to go to India, into Manchester, but how do India pick themselves up? How do you pick yourself up off the back of a defeat like that?
I think you have to sort of sit down for a while and think about it, and then you have some honesty between people, and you work out where things could be improved, where were the critical moments that you don't want to repeat, those sorts of things. I think you do need those things as a side. Sometimes that honesty isn't very pleasant. You wish that it hadn't come out in the open that way, but you need to in the room, and you keep it within the room, and it's not that it's personal, never personal. What it is let's try and improve us, let's move upwards from here. We're not going to go down there again. We're going to move up. And you, as long as you're all committed to those sort of things, and you agree, that was something we could do better, and let's work on that then. And I think that's where you start to, as a group, as one, you move up.
Just like nobody deserved to lose this test match, really. There were several contenders for player of the match. Joe Root scored 100 and top scored in both innings, 140 in England's total of 192. The man of the match was Ben Stokes, and I just wonder, was it for his 44 in the first innings or 33 in the second? Was it for his 2 for 63 in the first innings, or his 3 for 48? Or was it for the fact that he bowled 20 overs on the last day, 10 in the morning session, 10 in the afternoon session, in an incredible effort? And I don't know who adjudicated it, but I rather suspect that it was for the heart and spirit and soul and guts and blood that he shed.
It was for all of that, and I think probably for the biggest turning point in this contest, for the run out as well. The run out, and that was a big turning point in the contest. So yes, it was a Herculean effort from the captain, something that we've seen many times before, pre knee operation, and now we've got the old Ben Stokes back, and what he'll say is the new Ben Stokes as body. What an exciting proposition it is going forward for the rest of this series and for the Ashes. I wouldn't like to see him bowl 20 odd overs in 2 spells, but sometimes needs must, and needs must today, because Wokes was ineffective, Archer was ineffective. Archer was body was tired. Carter's has had 3 big tough test matches. Bashir off the field, and the captain went, right, it's my team and it's me to stand up. And I did, and boy did he! And he's got the man of the match because of his all-round contributions to the game, and obviously his decision making as well. Because when it gets tight, it comes down to small margin decisions, and I thought he got most of them spot on.
It was Rishabh Pant in India's first innings, the run out that Harmy was referring to, and the partnership of 141. It was taking the game away from England, and it was Stokes' moment of brilliance that saw Rishabh Pant, who was attempting a quick single in order to get KL Rahul to his 100, that old bugbear of personal milestones rearing its ugly head, Jeremy, and it's all very well and good to say, you know, there's only one run difference between 99 and 100. But there have been a heap of personal milestones. I mean, Shubman Gill has scored 600 runs. I would imagine, you know, and he's failed here. 600 runs in the first two Test matches. There will be a lot of emotion, adrenaline, and you need to kind of process that really. And Graham Smith did a similar thing many year ago, and the team management sent him off for a holiday to Ireland, sent him out of the country. He went for a 3-day break just to completely escape and to get away from it. And do you think that India might benefit from something similar? I don't know. Maybe not Ireland.
I don't know. No, I'm not too sure. You might not see some of them again, do you think? Look, yeah, it's going to take them a while, of course, because you invest a lot in it, don't you, really? And so there's always disappointment that comes with that. And so they're going to have to take it. But they've got a few days now, haven't they? That they have to pull themselves together and to work hard as a group and to believe in each other, those kinds of things, which sound easy to say over a microphone. But they've got to do that. And they you know, it's hard when you're 2-1 down and 2 to play, isn't it? It's not going to be easy to come back from this. But you don't want 4-1. You don't want 4-1 because that's happened before, hasn't it?
Yeah, and you wouldn't sort of see too far away from 4-1 here in this situation, because where India must be at this moment in time, that's rock bottom. You know, energy levels zapped. Played twice, played 2 Test matches with Bumrah, lost them both. Where does that conversation go? I think, you know, looking at the England side, I think this victory's and possibly put a little plaster over quite a few issues that England have got problems with. They've got a problem at the top of Crawley. Still got that issue at number 3. Bashir his injury might, if it doesn't recover, we might end up having to go down the another spinner route, whether it's Liam Dawson or it's Jack Leach, and Chris Wope looks as though he needs a rest, and whether he needs a rest or he needs to be dropped, that's two different conversations. But you know, this is just gonna cover over a few little frailties which England have, but England will feel more energised going into Manchester because they're 2-1 up. If India, you know, they have to get their selection right going into Manchester, because I don't think we're going to play on a pitch any better than what we've got here, because Manchester traditionally, you know, when it was the other way around, was a fast and bouncy one. Some of the results at Manchester have been a little bit like Edgbaston this year, which have been really, you know, really slow, turgid things, and while it doesn't suit England, I mean, that means you're gonna have to go at the well again, and the energy levels you're gonna need to have another 5 days of what we've had this so far in these 3 Test matches.
Yeah, these aren't easy pitches to have 4 seamers working hard on, and you haven't quite got a spinner that does the job for you. And that's where a little advantage for India, you would think, would start to emerge, but they haven't quite been able to nail that, have they? I think mainly it's in the batting for India. I really do. I think their bowling attack is looking to have just a slightly better edge. And you think that would be a difference when you're having to get 20 wickets. How many times did we ask each other, how will England get 20 wickets in this match? Well, we saw it today, didn't we?
They needed every single minute and almost every single over. India were bowled out for 170, chasing a target of 193. The closest finish ever in a Test match at Lord's, and one of the closest of all time. Absolutely remarkable game of cricket. You've been listening to Following On.